swim, drink, fish logo? Get a thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So I'm glad that you all joined on this beautiful evening. So as Michael mentioned, I'm Sadie Caron. I'm the program manager for Swim, Drink, Fish out here in Vancouver. So Fraser Riverkeeper. And I'd like to start off by also having a territorial acknowledgement because the land which I work is in the city of Vancouver, and that's the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Since time immemorial, Indigenous peoples have been the stewards for the land and the water, so it's always important to acknowledge their important role in protecting our waters. So I am the program manager at Fraser Riverkeeper, which is the Vancouver-based subsidiary of the national charity Swim, Drink, Fish. So today I'm here to talk to you about citizen science and the ways that we can use it to help combat some of Canada's most common form of water pollution.
We are Fraser Riverkeeper. In 2004, we set out on a mission to ensure your right to safely swim, drink, and fish in BC waters. We blend science, law, education, and storytelling with technology to empower millions of people to know and safeguard their waters. We get our feet wet every week with our Vancouver Water Monitoring Program. Year-round, we collect frequent, reliable data about the waters that so many Vancouverites enjoy on a regular basis. We are proud to publish our weekly results as raw data on our website and to Swim Guide in an accessible and easy to understand format. We work hard to ensure you have access to consistent, reliable data so that you're empowered to make informed decisions about when and where to get out on the water. We run free water literacy workshops for schools, community groups, and organizations across the greater Vancouver area. We want to start a conversation about our water, where it comes from, how it flows, and how we can protect it. Through these workshops and events, we have collected over 3,000 stories for Watermark Project, with the goal of archiving how important clean water is to people across Canada. These stories stand as proof that Canadians care about our water bodies and are connected to the water that we so desperately need to preserve. We know that if you feel connected to water, you're more likely to protect it. We are dedicated to cleaning up our waters, holding polluters accountable, and empowering everyone to know their local water bodies. Become a citizen scientist and join the Swim, Drink, Fish movement. Learn more and sign up at fraserriverkeeper.ca.
That's a little bit about what we do at Fraser Riverkeeper. And one of the places where it initially started is just sort of seeing these sorts of signs where you see no swimming, where boil water notices, no fishing signs. So likely, I think I'd be surprised if there's anyone here on this call today who hasn't seen any of these signs before. And so just knowing how many threats there are that impact the waters that we love and depend on, what sort of inspired Swim, Drink, Fish and our logo is essentially just removing the crosses from those lines and ensuring that our future we can swim, drink, and fish in waters across BC. And it's really important for us as humans, water. It connects us, it sustains us. We are water. 60% of our bodies is made up of water. But of course, it's really important for the diverse creatures that rely on this water for their survival as well. So in the Fraser River Watershed, we have salmon, orcas, black bears, great blue herons, thousands of species that call this watershed home for all or part of the year. So first off, maybe some of you are wondering, well, what is a watershed? Well, watersheds are basically catchment areas that separate waters flowing to different rivers, basins, or seas. So we can see in Canada that it flows to 5 different places. And if we zoom in and look at the Fraser River watershed here, you can see how large it is. It's, of course, the longest river in BC. And its source, which is also known as its headwaters, is in the Fraser Pass in the Canadian Rocky Mountains and then travels 1,375 kilometers through BC, draining into the Strait of Georgia. So as the waters travel from its source to its sink, there can be many things that are introduced and can potentially threaten its water quality. And in Canada, the most widespread form of surface water pollution might actually be a little bit surprising because it's one of the things that threatens the health of our waters, the wildlife, and also the health of recreational water users, it's sewage. And there's several ways which sewage makes its way into our waters, through wildlife species, through illegal dumping, through storm drains, and also through an antiquated sewer system that is present in Metro Vancouver and which they're trying to fix, which is known as CSOs, or combined sewer overflows. So basically there are 3 different types of sewer pipes which transport sewage. So we've got the sanitary sewers, which transport sewage straight to wastewater treatment plants. We've got storm sewers, which transports precipitation, anything on the ground, into our waterways. And then combined, which, as the name suggests, transports both precipitation and sewage in the same pipe. So this could be a problem in Metro Vancouver, since as a very rainy area, when there is significant precipitation, the stormwaters combine with raw sewage. So instead of all of that going to the wastewater treatment plant, it overflows into our water bodies. And Metro Vancouver has begun to share sewage alerts and is working to separate all those sewers by 2050, but there are still significant impacts on water quality, including on the Fraser River and at our beloved beaches across Metro Vancouver. So to advocate for clean waters, we really need to have a good understanding of the problem and how it impacts water quality throughout the year. So to give you a little bit of a scope of the problem, 82.3 billion liters of untreated wastewater were dumped into BC waters in 2017. So here we can see on this map that there are 10 spots in Metro Vancouver along the Fraser River where there are these combined sewers releasing untreated sewage into our beloved river. And Metro Vancouver has 39 combined sewer outfall points that overflowed 3,622 times in 2017, releasing 39,060,422 cubic meters of effluent that year. So it's a really staggering amount of this combination of precipitation, rainfall, and sewage that enters our waterways. And of course, it's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for the wildlife that depend on our waters as well. So swimming in water that's polluted from sewage and bacteria, such as E. coli, can cause waterborne infections, including hepatitis, gastroenteritis, as well as skin, wound, respiratory, and eye infections. And in Canada, a study looking at the drinking and recreational water exposures among Canadians estimated that 400,000 people a year get sick from contaminated water. So that's one of the things that we sort of were wondering is, well, how do we know when beaches or our recreational waters are swimmable or clean for paddling or for boating or for, just any activity where you'll be on the water? And also, if you do recognize pollution, how do you report it? So that was sort of what inspired this app and website that we created called Swim Guide. So Swim Guide is a free website and app, and it helps you to easily find your closest beaches, know at a glance which ones are clean for swimming, helps you report pollution, and share your love of beaches with friends and family. So I'm going to walk through Swim Guide a little bit. It's one of our tools about how you can use it. So feel free, if you have a smartphone or if you have a computer nearby, feel free to follow along and visit swimguide.org to see what I'm talking about a little bit as we go through it. So Swim Guide itself has a growing network of affiliates who collect and upload water quality information so that anyone can access it for free. When you open up the app or website, you'll automatically have a map that shows you the closest beaches to you and their most recent water quality status. So on a beach page, you can see not only the water quality status, but also who collected it and when it was collected. So that's really helpful. You want to know water quality changes like the weather. So the most recent water quality information is super helpful if you're somebody who really enjoys spending time on the water or is just also really concerned about water quality, being able to know how it is historically. There also, if a beach hasn't been tested recently, it goes into historical status, telling you what percentage of the time it has passed or failed historically. And for most beaches, you also have detailed list of information about amenities and a photograph, so you know what to expect when you get there. And then once you get down to the water, you can submit pollution reports if you see something that concerns you, or you can simply take photographs of the beach that can help us keep track of it over time. So that this is sort of one of the many forms of citizen science that you can help contribute to today, which I'll be diving into a little bit later. So when you open up Swim Guide, you get this wonderful map. So this is also on Beach Finder, and you can see all of the available sites near you and get a good snapshot really quickly of which ones passed and failed recently. And then you, as you click on the beach, you can also see the current or historical statuses on Swim Guide, which show water quality results or longer term results when the sites aren't monitored each week. So I don't know if anyone knows this beach, Garry Point Park. It's on the Fraser River, of course. And here we can see on the right there that it meets, it passed its most recent water quality test. And you can see the date that it was collected on July 12th, 2021. So Metro Vancouver collects the results and then it's all published on Fraser Health. So we share the data that's already being collected by the health authorities. And for both Metro Vancouver and Fraser Health, they follow the water quality guidelines, which basically state that a beach passes, they collect samples for E. coli. And if a geometric mean of at least 5 samples is less than or equal to 200 E. coli per 100 meter, and as well as each sample is less than or equal to 400 E. coli per 100 milliliters, then it passes. So if there's not as much E. coli in the water, that's sort of the threshold. That's the same threshold set by the Canadian Guidelines for Recreational Water Quality. So that's used really in many places across the country. And basically when it passes, it's marked green here. So it makes it really simple for us to know quickly whether it passed or failed and whether it poses a risk to health, whether if we're recreating on it. So on top of providing public with information about beloved beaches, you can also use Swim Guide to report pollution. So as you scroll down, there's a report pollution button that you can use. You can submit pollution reports. So it's also really important to be able to recognize pollution. You know, there's lots of different forms of pollution, and it's one of those things that if you think you might be seeing pollution, you know, it's better to take a photo and report it than, you know, to let it slide. So here are some examples of some images that represent different forms of pollution that we might see that impact our water bodies. And we're really fortunate here in BC because we also have, you can really help out by reporting it to the Report All Poachers and Polluters. It's also known as the RAP line, RAPP. So here's the number that you can call if you ever see pollution. And there's the website that you can visit to submit your pollution report. So that's a really, really helpful way that you can recognize and report pollution, which is an important step and a really vital habit that anyone can take to protect the Fraser River or any beloved waterway. And we also at Swim, Drink, Fish have another site. We love reporting pollution. We love making it as easy as possible. So if you also wanted to follow along and see, you can submit photos of pollution, of wildlife users, of of recreational water users, of wildlife, to gassy.swimdrinkfish.ca. It's our little tool, which is really wonderful if you're ever visiting water bodies with especially children, with your family. It's really fun to kind of be submitting these photos. So if you have any photos of your water, feel free to submit them as I'm speaking. It's something that you can easily take a snapshot. And by reporting pollution, it's really wonderful because these are tools that help document the health of waters and can even be used as legal evidence to protect waters. So it's even more helpful than it may seem, just really briefly. So what else can we do to protect water? Well, I've got some of those sort of simple tips for considering how to conserve water, you know, thinking about turning off your tap when brushing your teeth. Right now, of course, we haven't had rain for a while in Metro Vancouver, so let your lawn go gold, you know, don't water your lawn, let the rain do it when it can, and if it can't, just, it's fine. It's not really an important use of our beloved water, or collecting rainwater in barrels for watering your garden, using low flush toilets. These are all great tips for conserving your water. Another way that you can protect your waters is also thinking about what you flush. So, you know, after just learning about combined sewers and what, you know, we all know that what goes down our drain doesn't disappear entirely, and unfortunately it can end up in our waterways. So it's really important to only flush the 3 Ps, pee, poo, and toilet paper. And another really fantastic way that you can help contribute to cleaning up our waters is to get out there and get your hands dirty and we'll clean up the waters. So each year, Fraser Riverkeeper helps to lead the annual Fraser River cleanup with the Fraser Valley Illegal Dumping Alliance in Chilliwack. So if you're interested in joining in 2022, please sign up for our newsletter at fraserriverkeeper.ca. It's a wonderful community we've had. In 2019, which was the last time that we could have this annual cleanup, there were over 800 people participating. So it's one of the largest cleanups in North America where people gather and really help to clean up a huge amount of waste. And so since officially launching in 2015, FVIDA, or Fraser Valley Illegal Dumping Alliance's efforts have removed upwards of 125 tons of illegally dumped waste from sensitive freshwater habitat, and also helped to contribute to a 60% increase in reporting of dumping to conservation officers. So the reporting function is really important because those COs can get out there and help clean up the things that we can't get out there and clean up. But if you can't join a cleanup as large as this one, something that you can also do is if you're going for a walk, visiting the Fraser River sometime, why not bring a garbage bag and maybe some gloves? It's something fun that you can do with your friends, with your family. There's even a name for it when the activity of cleaning up while going for a walk or a jog has an official name called plogging. So plogging is something that you can participate in to really help your waterways. But there are also so many other fantastic groups, such as the Chilliwack Vetter River Cleanup Society, the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup, the Surfrider Foundation, which leads some fantastic hotspot cleanups. And if you visit the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup, they provide all sorts of wonderful resources and tools for you to be able to plan your own cleanup and help pick up potential pollutants from our waterways. So the reason that cleanups are so helpful is because they're really that last line of defense, which help to stop garbage from making its way into our waters. So if you choose to participate in a cleanup, help report pollution, or even just spend some time by the Fraser River or your local water bodies, connecting to water is a really important step in helping to protect it. And a lot of these activities are what we call citizen science. So according to National Geographic, citizen science is the practice of public participation and collaboration in scientific research to increase scientific knowledge. Through citizen science, people share and contribute to data monitoring and collection programs. So by spending time, there's other ways that all of us today on this call can be citizen science. So number one is definitely just spending time by the water and learning to recognize and report threats. And then if you do actually recognize the problem, taking a photo and submitting photos of pollution to the RAP line, or even to Swim Guide or Gassy, we also then share those and move them along to make sure that they go to the proper authorities. Or, another great activity is just participating in a cleanup or plogging itself. So that's sort of all my slides that I've prepared today, but I do understand that we have quite a few, that we probably have some questions going on. So feel free to follow us. Also, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Fraser Riverkeeper, or visit our website, fraserriverkeeper.ca. We have tons of programs right now. We have our recreational water monitoring program on False Creek, where we have volunteers join us to collect water samples, which we then process in our lab on Granville Island, and we share all of our results. So we sample for E. coli, and we do that throughout the entire year, so even in the winter. So there's wonderful opportunities for volunteering. We also recently installed 3 sea bins, which are floating trash skimmers along Granville Island. So we have 3 of them, and it's kind of wonderful because they use a vacuum to basically collect all sorts of garbage 24/7. So it's kind of like a cleanup that you don't have to actively participate every moment of the day. And then they're emptied. And then once a month, we actually have volunteers join us to help us categorize and classify the different types of waste. So there's lots of ways that you can get engaged with programs and be citizen scientists in those other ways. But of course, on the Fraser River, there's lots that we can do. So I'm just